Welcome to Sinclair Tractor's Integrated Solutions training videos. In this video, I'm going to show a quick run-through on the general information screens for a 3000 or ITC receiver. There are some minor differences on an ITC from what I show you, but overall they're very much the same. So to get there, we can go to our main menu button, go to the Starfire 3000 or ITC button, and then we're going to get the information pages. Our first tab in the top left corner is for information. That's kind of your main run screen or information screen for it. It's going to show you what your position mode is. If it's locked on and you've got good signal, you should have a green circle, and it'll tell you that it's 3D fix. And in this particular instance, it's on SF1. Below that, it's going to show our latitude and longitude position, as well as our altitude in feet. Our GPS course, if we're moving, it's going to tell us the degrees on the compass that we're going, and also our ground speed. Below that, we have a roll angle and pitch angle of the receiver. That's read from the TCM chip in there that tells us what the angle side to side and front to back is. And then yaw rate is our speed of changing direction if we're in a turn. And it will show you how aggressive that turn is on that graph. In the center of the screen, you've got three horizontal bar graphs. The top one is for total blended accuracy. Your center one is for GPS signal percentage, and the bottom one is for the Starfire correctional signal. Those won't always be at 100%. They may be a little below. The Starfire signal may rise or fall. But generally you want minimum of 85%, ideally 90% or more, before you would try to auto track or do any other operations with the receiver specifically. Then we can go to our setup tab at the top. This gives us our high level setup. It allows us to change our correction mode if need be. It has our correction frequency of the Starfire satellite that it's pulling the correction from, what direction the receiver is mounted on the machine, our fore and aft and height positions. Generally you just want to leave those alone, what they're set at. You don't change them. The default box may or may not be checked. Usually it will have a check in it. There are instances where you may leave that out. Over here in the middle we have optimized shading. Usually you're going to want to have that selected. That lets it perform better if you're running alongside of buildings or trees. If you're always in open areas and never going to be along structures like that, then you can take the check out and it'll actually perform a little bit better overall. And then the hours on after shutdown is how long the receiver will stay locked on to corrections after you power down the machine at night. So if you want it to more or less be locked on to signal the next morning, then you'd want to have this set for at least 12 hours and maybe even 24 hours on after shutdown. There's no right or wrong, it's a preference there. This is where we can calibrate our TCM, and for the procedure of that, refer to our video on that. Then at the top we have an activations tab. This is where it tells us what activations are in the receiver: SF1, SF2 ready, and or RTK. It'll also show us if we've used any of the available grace periods for SF2. I would caution you, you don't want to use these unless you absolutely have to. For some reason you don't have signal, get a hold of your salesman or integrated solution specialist to get your SF2 license renewed before you would use one of these, because once they're gone they cannot be put back in. And then finally we have our serial port. So if you have a third-party application that requires GPS position stream or radar speed stream from the receiver, this is where you would come in and set up the baud rate and your output hertz rate from the receiver, and then which messages or NEMA strings, as they're referred to, that you need to export out of the receiver. And then we also, on the right hand side, we have the major areas of the display. The one with the tripod is for RTK specifically. This is where you would go in and set that up. The one with the receiver or satellite picture is going to show us the position of the satellites in the sky relative to one another. Tells you whether they're which satellite ID, whether it's locked on, or whether it's just tracking it. It'll tell us at the bottom the total number of satellites tracked, how many it's using for velocity or position, as well as our quality of signal level down at the bottom. And then we can also look at GLONASS if it's a 3000 receiver, that is specific to that one only. Or you can look at these in a graph format. And then finally, the book and wrench is our high-level diagnostic screen for the receiver. In here, it will tell us our software version number on the receiver, the serial number of the receiver, as well as, under status, what the hours are on that receiver. And it'll tell us whether it's using the NEMA string, whether you have an external antenna or not. Thank you.